This is a body that condemns Israel constantly, continually. It has an anti-Israel obsession, more than just a bias. It's obsessed. So when the Prime Minister comes here, he always delivers. It's a very important speech. It's the most hostile venue to Israel probably in the world. And he always conveys Israel's perspective with passion and with conviction. But today, actually, the most powerful thing he did was what he didn't say. You know, it was that moment of silence where he stared down the nations of the world for their silence on yet another genocidal threat against the Jewish people 70 years after the Holocaust.
But he say in the West Bank and not Judea and Samaria.
Look, he said a demilitarized state, and obviously this is all very debatable. The main thing is, should there ever be a state? And many of us believe that a Palestinian state would directly threaten the very existence of Israel. But the key word that he used was demilitarized. Whatever happens there, there's no way there can be a Palestinian army. We know how those weapons are abused. We know how many Jews have died at the hands of terror attacks. And some of those weapons were indeed delivered as part of the Oslo agreements. But here yesterday you had Mahmoud Abbas repudiating the Oslo agreements, saying they're no longer even binding. So what does that all mean? You know, we're in uncharted territory right now. But what I took from the Prime Minister's speech was a strong repudiation of the Iran deal, which will give Iran a legitimate path to a bomb. It was good that he repeated that, because many in the United States think, you know, it's all over. The deal was done and it's all over. And the Prime Minister said Iran should never grow complacent. They should never think for a moment that Israel's not watching them very carefully. Israel will never allow them, he said, even to sneak into the nuclear weapons club.
Do you think that the Jewish community here in the United States, here in New York, do enough to protect Israel?
Does American Jewry do enough to protect Israel? No, of course not. If American Jewry did enough, then the Iran deal would not have passed. We were not united against the Iran deal. We also were not prepared to put our relationships with powerful politicians on the line to tell them that this is the foreign policy vote of their lifetime, that this is the foreign policy vote that will determine the future security of the United States and directly of Israel. Now, we took a very different approach to the Iran deal, the American Jewish community, which was in general to advertise against it, to approach our congressmen, our senators, but we didn't say to them, this is the whole ball game. This is it. This isn't even like a vote on the $3 billion in economic aid. It's not even just a vote even Iron Dome, important as those issues are. This is Iran getting a nuclear bomb. This is it. And if you're not with us now, we have to question whether you're truly with us. You profess friendship, but this is the whole ball game. You have a genocidal regime, slaughters its own people, largest state sponsor of terrorism, now on the path to obtaining a nuclear weapon. And President Obama himself said that this deal will give them at the end of the deal a near zero breakout time. So do we do enough in the United States to defend Israel? Of course not. You know, we have major problems here in the United States with the American Jewish community. We have rampant assimilation rates. Jewish identity is eroding. And by and large, the people who care about Israel care about it because it's the Jewish state. Now, if you're not sufficiently focused on your own Jewish identity, if you're not sufficiently attached to your Jewishness and affirming it, then why would you attach yourself to Israel? It's this obscure country that seems to always be in crisis in the Middle East. But if it's part of you, because your Jewishness is at a molecular level, is how you define yourself, then you're going to love Israel, care about Israel, support Israel, and fight for Israel. So what we face right now, the Jewish people face, is a two-front war. We face a physical threat in the Middle East from Hezbollah, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Iran, and then we face an assimilation threat, a very different kind of threat here in the West. One is where Jews are rejected and Iran wants to annihilate Israel. The other is Jews are so accepted that they can lose their identity and assimilate into oblivion. How does one contend with that two-front war, which seems to be contradictory in terms of the nature of the threat? But we have to rise to the challenge because our survival and our continuity and our Jewish existence is at stake.
Wasn't coming and make the speech and put the flag over here, and nobody from the Jewish community protest. And the people say to me that maybe they are afraid from President Obama.
No, the Jewish community is not afraid of President Obama. The United States is a true democracy. People don't fear their president. Some people may fear the political consequences of challenging certain politicians in terms of losing access to those political figures. That may be true. Do some Jews think in terms of, will I be invited to the White House Hanukkah party? Yeah, there are people that think in those terms, and perhaps that would constitute a fear of, I don't want to be left on the outside. But no one's afraid of the president. And I think in any sense other than that. Having said all that, we protested the Iran agreement strongly, vociferously. There's a lot of battle fatigue right now in the American Jewish community. I think we were very dispirited to see how badly that deal lost. There wasn't even a vote in Congress. You basically had the Democratic filibuster, which the president didn't even have to exercise his veto. So when it comes to Israel, it's like we lurch, unfortunately, from one crisis to the next. We started with the war in Gaza, 2 summers ago, and then a summer later we had the whole battle to stop the Iran deal, and now, like you say, the Palestinian flag, and it's like it just doesn't end. But the people of Israel should never underestimate the resolve of American Jews to stand up for Israel. Although we don't do enough, as I said, don't ever discount how many people care and fight and stand up and risk all to fight for Israel. If you are a Jew who doesn't fight for Israel, then you have no perspective on history. Then you just don't know what a miracle Israel is. Israel is the greatest miracle to befall the Jewish people in 2,000 years. And if we don't get that, there's something wrong with our own perception. So we have to fight. It's just that every day there seems to be another battle. And I think right now we're still kind of nursing a lot of wounds from the Iran deal.